how's everybody doing out there? It is a gorgeous, gorgeous spring day. And it's a busy one on the path here today, so I may have to make a few edits, but hey, that's the way she goes. You know, nothing like feeling like a weirdo as you're walking by people with a camera 4 feet out in front of you and they're looking at you like, hey man, I didn't want to be in your video. What I wanted to talk about today is a mistake that I see a lot of people making. Now, let me preface that by saying, when I give you guys my opinion or some advice on something, it's a blanket piece of advice. It's not going to work with every dog, and it's not every situation is the same. So just remember that. Like, to give you an example, I was speaking with a client last night, and I was trying to give them an example of, like, just managing a behavior versus actually trying to, like, correct or train that behavior out of the dog. And I said, you know, if your dog's overexcited when a guest comes over, you could crate your dog. And I was pointing out that crating will contain your dog so they can't jump all over your guest, but it's not actually working to fix the problem. And then you could also tackle it by just trying to correct your dog for jumping on your guests. And actually my client said, actually, that's what I do, is I crate my dog, and after about 5 minutes he calms down, I can let him out and he doesn't jump. So yes, it worked for him, and certain things will work and certain things won't work. So my point is that for most dogs, if you crate them, they'll calm down a little bit, and then you open that crate door, and now the thought of coming out of the crate to meet your guest overstimulates them again. They become overexcited, and they'll jump then. So for many dogs, simply crating them will not fix the jumping problem. It just postpones the jumping problem until they come out of the crate. But yes, every once in a while, that may work on a dog. They may calm down, come out of the crate calm, and stay calm. So just remember, like, whenever I'm giving you advice, it's because this is what I've seen with many cases, but it's not always the case, okay? I think we all knew that, but I thought it's kind of prudent to make that point. What I wanted to talk about today was the way that people work with a leash reactive dog. So these are dogs that see another dog or something in the environment, another person, squirrel, whatever, and they just lose their mind on the leash. They're lunging, they're barking, they're freaking out. A lot of people see that as like an aggressive dog. 9 times out of 10, that's just an overstimulated dog that's frustrated, that can't do what it wants to do. The leash has become a source of frustration. The leash is preventing the dog from getting to what they want to investigate. And that frustration, that reaction boils over into lunging and barking and all kinds of stuff. And what a lot of people will try, we've talked about the treat lure, like the treat distraction. I'm not talking about that today. What I wanted to address today was, a lot of people will do this. A lot of people see the dog coming, sit, and this is what they try and do. They want to sit their dog as the other dog, whatever goes by, right? They want to sit their dog. Yep. So the problem with that technique, and again, somebody is going to comment and go, it worked for my dog. That's why I made that little preface statement about how it may work for some dogs. It's not going to work for 90% of dogs, though, and here's why. This is the chain of events. Your dog sees something in the environment, starts to hyper-focus on it, starts to build, starts to get overstimulated, overexcited, and then that spills over. And if your technique is having the dog sit, essentially what you're doing is saying, hey, just sit here and watch that thing go by. That thing that is frustrating you and overstimulating you. Whoops. Guess that guy's going to need to fix up his the front of his car. Right, but that's all you're doing is just having that dog just sit there and watch that thing go by, and that's just going to create more. That's just giving them a longer duration to build frustration and just stare at the thing as it goes by and just have a meltdown. If you didn't know what to do, just getting the dog past it, just keeping the dog walking would be ideally the right thing to do in that situation, because if you can't control it, at least it'll be over sooner. And yes, a lot of people are going to try ducking behind a car or hiding from what's out there. But that's management. That's not fixing your problem. Okay, Ryan, so what is the solution then? It's not that simple. There is no one magic bullet that just works. There isn't something that just ends all of that automatically. That's why you call a trainer, because I've got experience and I have a bunch of different techniques to work through these problems. Generally speaking, though, in the beginning, distance is your friend. Like working with your dog at a distance where they can see the thing that overstimulates them, but they can still hold it together, and then closing that gap over time is basically like how you handle that situation. And then you can work to correct any overreactions. You can give them feedback like, don't act this way. But if you've got some distance, then you're working within this area where the dog can kind of hold themselves together and they're more responsive to feedback. So personally, if I have a leash reactive dog, I don't want to throw them right into the deep end right off the bat, because that's not going to yield very good results. But at the same time, having them sit and stare at whatever it is that is frustrating them or overstimulating them is not going to give you great results either. But I see this all the time. People, and then their dog's losing it, and they're trying to sit their dog. It's just not working, because once the dog is like over their threshold of being able to cope with that, the only thing you're really going to do is just remove them from that situation. Like, there's not much else that can be done in that situation. But I see this all the time, and I'm sure many of you have tried that, just having your dog sit. What I would say is, as the training's coming along and the dog's responding well, then I would move forward to having the dog stationary when that other thing is present in the environment. So for me, it's kind of like everybody's trying to skip a step. They're trying to go to the harder technique first. They're trying to have their dog hold it together in a very difficult environment and keep the dog still. I'm suggesting that in the beginning, it's better to keep the dog moving, to keep their focus moving too. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. So if you've been trying the sit and stare technique and it's backfiring on you, that's why. And just keep your dog moving, and then reach out to a trainer who has some experience and can give you a bunch of different techniques to work with. Anyway, that's it for me today. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my walk with the dogs, and I will see you in the next video.